Hello and welcome, Gemini, to my channel. This is a 5-card tarot card overall energy reading for the time period between September 16th and September 30th, 2020. It is a general reading for the larger collective of Geminis, and it's intended for informational purposes. The information may not resonate with everyone, and that's perfectly okay. Take what fits and let the rest go. To save time, I already shuffled the cards and requested the universal guides to guide the card shuffling and selection, and the cards that were ejected on their own were the ones that were placed here. The 5 cards that exited during that shuffle for this overall energy reading during this period are lined up here in front of us. The first card here represents the overall energy of past influences that were significant within the last few months for Gemini. In some cases, the issues may have been resolved, and others may still be lingering. The second card here represents the current overall energy during this same time period. The third card represents the overall energy for future within this time period for future sort of energies. And the fourth card represents the overall energy for challenges that may come up. And keep in mind that challenges do not imply that they are negative. They're just at all. They're typically, if they do show up, they're there for just to be aware. And you perhaps, if they are a challenge, you can nip them in the butt. And the fifth card here represents the overall energy of the overall outcome for this time period of these energies that Gemini is experiencing. And again, this is for the overall collective Gemini population. So this first card is our past influences, and we have the 9 of Wands in reverse. Gemini. The 9 of Wands in reverse suggests that some Geminis were struggling to keep working towards a goal that they had during that time frame, this past 3 or so months. Geminis, I'm picking up, were challenged with a path that appeared to be relentless and sort of pummeling some Geminis with setbacks after setbacks. Some Geminis just felt that they couldn't, just couldn't handle it anymore, and were extremely challenged. And it required many Geminis to sort of draw upon your internal resources to sort of identify that resilience and inner courage, your positive self-talk and a mindset just to keep you going. Now, this could be relevant to, of course, with the COVID-19 experience for many, those sort of challenges. I'm picking up that, many Geminis sort of had to turn this challenging situation, or were able to sort of turn these challenges into success. And some Geminis were able to help others who were in similar sort of situations. And I feel that some Geminis are still sort of keep fighting. In other words, for many, it's not resolved. It's still sort of lingering to the present date. For Geminis, the 9 of Wands here reversed can also appear in your past here. Influence is when you feel sort of overcome by responsibilities, or you feel there's lack of support of those around you. I'm picking up for some Geminis that, for many, life was all work and no play during this time frame. And for some, if this was a temporary setback, many just sort of pushed through it to get through it, and sort of reach that finish line. But it was exhausting. I'm picking up that many Geminis, sort of wanted to make sure that they didn't take on any other commitments during this time to overstretch them, and perhaps make the circumstances even worse. And I think in general, many Geminis just felt at the time there was no end in sight. I'm picking up here for Geminis when this is sort of in the past influences that the reverse 9 of Wands here was indicating perhaps even some sort of paranoia or defensiveness, or a concern that some Geminis may have felt everyone was out to get them, or the universe was out to get them. It was sort of that overwhelming feeling that many had. Many, may have always, in some ways, may have felt that they were under attack by some people, and it's just exaggerated or exacerbated, or even unfairly targeted. But when this feeling comes up for some Geminis, this is usually a sign of fear from within you rather than an actual extreme threat. And this, I'm picking up that, it's just a set of unfortunate circumstances that sort of exaggerated it. And what this card is sort of saying is, to not worry for the most of the Geminis who this may resonate with, is really stop thinking what other people are thinking or saying about you. This is yeah. So it's just sort of an overwhelming period for many during this time frame, and perhaps it's still carrying over for some Geminis into the present here. That's what I've got out of that. In your present state, you have the Eight of Cups. No, is it 8? Yeah, 8 of Cups. So, let me see. Geminis, I'm picking up here in your present state that, with the Eight of Cups showing here, many feel compelled to sort of walk away from a disappointing situation. And I'm getting the feeling that some of it's related to this current past here, of that feeling of being overwhelmed. I'm picking up that some Geminis, are currently feeling that, are wanting to sort of turn your back on a sort of an unfulfilling relationship, or a job, career, or path, or living arrangement, or a creative project, just something that you were working on that was once sort of a great happiness to many Geminis, now only brings you pain, or anguish, or frustration. I'm feeling that the collective who this resonates with, were invested a lot of your own emotional, self energy, and are feeling that despite your best efforts, getting anything out of this situation was a chore and unfulfilling. And I'm feeling for the Geminis that this resonates with, that you're feeling that the only choice is to sort of put it behind you and move on with your life, and that's sort of an overlying emotion that I'm getting from this card here. And for many, it's going to bring sadness, having to say goodbye to this. For Geminis, the Eight of Cups here suggests that you sense that something is missing, and particularly on an emotional, sort of spiritual level. And instead of waiting around for things to get better, many Geminis, you're just sort of telling yourself, or you're feeling the need to just leave that unfulfilling situation. And it may not make sense to others, I'm feeling, but because on the face, perhaps others around you are feeling that you had everything that you were wishing for, or have, but deep down, Gemini, I'm getting the feeling that many of the Geminis are just know it's not serving your highest good right now, and you're feeling it's time to let go and to move on. So with this card here in your present state, Geminis, this can be a sign that you're trying to escape a problematic, emotional situation, or many perhaps are avoiding some major psychological issues or concerns, or emotional concerns. The cups in the foreground represent emotional issues that remain real and present in your life. For many, Geminis, if you're trying to sort of pretend that they no longer exist, or you sort of buried them, or refusing to deal with them, many of these may be somewhat repressed emotions, and refuse to have, and you're refusing sort of to have conversations with others about what's really happening. I'm feeling that instead of preferring to pretend as if everything's okay right now, or just avoiding this sort of feeling or seeing or whatever is sort of reoccurring altogether. Rest assured here, Gemini, that the Eight of Cups here in your present state is inviting you to ask yourself what brings you joy, what brings you contentment and fulfillment, on a deeper level. And without that, Geminis, you might pursue goals that fail to give you that satisfaction that you're seeking. For example, some Geminis may think being in a long-term relationship is what you want, but when you manifest it, you sort of realize that it's not the long-term relationship you want, but a deep soul connection with somebody. And if that's not there in that particular relationship, then you're not fulfilling your needs, and no matter how long you stay together, you're not going to be happy. So in that situation is the Geminis, if you find yourself repeatedly in these sort of Eight of Cups situations where you have no choice but to walk away, this card is suggesting right now that you need to spend some time exploring what will bring you true happiness and sort of realign your goals with your values. In your future state, Gemini, you have the Two of Swords, but it is in a reverse. Geminis, I'm picking up in this sort of future state within this time period of this overall energy that the no, I'm not. Wait a minute. I'm not quite sure. Wait a minute. What am I getting here? I'm getting sort of some mixed messages. I'm not quite sure. One moment. I'm not. Okay, I'm listening. I think I'm trying to understand why this is in reverse, and it's not sort of being clear right this minute. Well, Gemini's, what I'm picking up here is, because the Two of Swords here is reversed, and this is in sort of your future state within this time period, I'm picking up that many Geminis are facing that difficult decision, and that you're unable to decide which direction to take, and this is going to be related to this right here. So if you're feeling, caught between that rock and a hard place, so to speak, for many Geminis, this card is sort of telling me that you're feeling it's impossible to make the right decision, as you believe either option is going to lead to sort of a negative consequence. And that's just sort of results in for you, Gemini, finding yourself feeling stuck and unable to sort of to move forward, which is just making your situation worse. However, what this card is saying here in your future state is, before you act, is be advised that perhaps you may also lack information, Geminis, that you need to make a sound decision. If you look here, it's sort of like the person here on the card's looking. This is a very dark card. It's the bright sun or moon, but it's very darkish and looking sort of in a meditative sort of state here. So, it's sort of, this card sort of shows that the person here is sort of closed off to the external world, and you, Geminis, may be sort of closing yourself off from the external because you're lacking additional information, and that additional information I'm picking up, would offer alternative solutions for you that could resolve your challenge or your dilemma. I'm picking up, for some Geminis, you may also be sort of experiencing information overload, which is causing you to be overwhelmed by other people's sort of points of view, or you're getting a deluge of information and sifting through all that advice and information that you're receiving is difficult to sort of help you select what's the most relevant and what's most helpful to you. Gemini's, when the reverse Two of Swords is showing here, and particularly in your future state, that it's inviting you to sort of listen to your intuition about this difficult situation that you may be in. This card is advising that, Geminis, you may need to cut yourself off from the external world temporarily, so that you can hear and listen to your inner voice and allow your wisdom to come through. This card is trusting that you have the fortitude, and you just sort of have to trust what you know to be true within yourself and what is right for you, and make your decisions based on your own internal compass and not so much what others' opinions are. With the Geminis, with the Two of Swords here in the reverse, it also represents sort of a stalemate. Some Geminis, perhaps you've reached an impasse with a friend, a loved one, a colleague, or supplier, or business, or a group, or something like that, and the trouble that you're having here is that all parties involved are sort of refusing to hear the situation from the other's perspective, and everyone's just sort of butting heads, and that could be frustrating. What this card here is advising you, Geminis, is to remove your blinders and sort of look at the situation from a different angle. It's advising Gemini that if you can identify where you can come to a compromise, otherwise that compromise would be good. Otherwise, the issue is just not going to move forward, and your challenge is going to be continuing. Geminis, I pick up here that this Two of Swords is also suggesting here that for some Geminis, you're feeling stuck in the middle of two competing sides. That perhaps the Gemini, you're trying to play a peacemaker role between two other people. This may not be your issue. It's just that you sort of became the peacemaker, and now it's getting out of control, and just more. It's just confusing yourself and creating more tension for yourself. An example typically like this is, sometimes we step in to help two family members who have a conflict in hope of sort of fostering a better communication or family environment, but instead, what ends up happening is the messenger becomes the dumping ground for each of those concerns, and you sort of take on the headache. If that's the case for some Geminis, this card in that case is sort of asking you to decide whether you honestly have a role to play in this at all, and whether you can create peace between these two opposing parties here. And you don't have to be a peacemaker. Step away if that's the case. So if that's the case, again, what this card is basically saying is, get yourself out of that situation, and your headache will resolve itself. So those are, it's resolving a situation that's not yours, but you became peacemaker. Or for those Geminis, you're still dealing with sort of a headache where there's just lots of competing ideas and or even within yourself, and you're not willing to make a compromise that could work. This card is saying that a compromise is, if that is the situation, a compromise would help solve everyone's issue and would minimize the challenges. In our challenges, fourth cup, we have the Prince of Cups. Now, Geminis, be aware, in other tarot cards, the Prince, it's usually called the Page, and this particular tarot card set, they call it the Prince of Cups, but the purposes are pretty much the same. So, we know, if you're familiar with pages or within any tarot card suit, they usually are messengers. So in your challenges here, this is sort of coming up with this prince here is delivering a message, and what is the message? I need a clear message. I'm picking up here that this message here from the prince here is something about it's suggesting that there's a new idea or opportunity that's coming forward for some Geminis, and that this idea or opportunity is going to somewhat come out of the blue. Uh, it's going to sort of tap your creative energy, Gemini. It's and the question that you're going to have to ask yourself is, how do you want to express your sort of creative idea? And it's going to you have to ask yourself, for many Geminis, are you going to snap up sort of this new idea and turn it into something that would be great for you, or are you going to let someone else, sort of bring it to a closure here? What I'm picking up here with this, this messenger of the cups here is, it's up to you. So it's encouraging you to spend time exploring an idea that if you have that idea, if you want to see it move forward. The Prince of Cups here in your sort of challenge state is inviting you to have sort of an open and curious mind. This may not necessarily be a challenge, but it's giving you sort of a path to choose. It's advising you Geminis to be open to anything, including a fish popping out of its head in a cup. It doesn't matter. It's encouraging you not to discount anything. It's this card is saying to Geminis that with a curious mind, you'll discover new aspects of life and yourself, and that creative charge is going to come forward from this. It's important. Yes, it's important for you to have open minds to all possibilities, Gemini, especially those of creative and an intuitive nature, because this card is saying you're going to be pleasantly surprised by the outcome. And this is sort of saying to you to be ready to sort of dream the impossible dream. It's going to encourage you to explore sort of the magic of your fullest potential for yourself, Geminis, even if it seems out of reach. When the Prince of Cups here is a messenger coming to you to ask you to embrace your inner child, Gemini, and believe that anything is possible. As each messenger in all the suited cards, they always ask the individual to sort of explore sort of a new facet of yourself. And here, the Prince of Cups is asking you to explore sort of your creative and emotional self, Gemini. And it could start with anything from it doesn't mean it has to cost money. It could be anything from just an art class to read a new book on something that's different about expressing your feelings, or learn more about developing sort of your intuitive skills. If you have dreamy aspirations racing through your mind that you think about, that it's encouraging you to find out what they mean to you, and it could be something very simple. It doesn't have to be large, but it's encouraging you, Gemini, to not be afraid to let your feelings show and to wear your heart on your sleeve. That's the bigger message here. Let your feelings show and wear your heart on your sleeve. When the messenger here appears, it's calling upon you, sort of, Gemini, to trust your intuition and to be open to the multitude of sort of intuitive messages that come your way. It's encouraging you to sort of look at the synchronicities and signs from the nature that will guide you on whatever path that's right for you, and think of the laws of the universe and sort of or laws of attraction, and whatever you ask for, you will receive or guide you towards. And these sort of experiences are going to come from unexpected places. They may not even make sense to your sort of rational mind at this point, but this card is honestly being strongly encouraging you, Geminis, to be open to the possibility and be ready to discover sort of new aspects that's going to be about yourself. It's following sort of that intuitive breadcrumbs is what I'm picking up here, where sort of one intuitive clue leads you to the next thing, and to the next, and to the next, and if you're having fun with it and you're enjoying that process, that's what's key, and that's what's important to the process. And before you know it, Gemini, you're going to find yourself in a place of full alignment and happiness and sort of bliss. And this all is about trusting your intuition and going with the flow and not fighting it. Geminis, in a practical sense, the messenger here of the cups is indicating, for many Geminis, that you will receive an unexpected and sort of pleasant surprise. The messenger here is often known, to help you receive sort of messages related to emotions, and here in intuition and creative endeavors, and that's the difference with this particular messenger of the cups, is specific to emotions, intuition, and creative endeavors. So, for some, you might be experiencing or know somebody who's experiencing the birth of a baby, or there's an engagement, marriage, or a new love interest, or an offer of a new project. It could be anything, but it's not a surprise that you, Gemini, can anticipate or sort of that force, and it's just saying to be ready to receive that information when it comes, and go with it, and you will do great. In our outcomes, reverse, we have the Hermit. We have the Hermit in reverse. So, this is going to be interesting. So, why do we have the Hermit in reverse? As you probably know, from this is a major arcana card, and the Hermit usually is. Sorry. The Hermit is usually requiring some sort of the reverse Hermit, can go two ways, Gemini, and when it's coming on your outcomes, it could be telling some Geminis that you're not taking enough time for personal reflection, or you're taking too much. It's that yin and yang. You may be struggling to connect with your spiritual self, and the Hermit here in reverse encourages Geminis that you create more space to sort of meditate and to reflect, and put that as a part of your day. This showing up here in your outcomes is inviting you, Geminis, to sort of go deeper into your inner being and rediscover your greater purpose. We know that you can get busy with the day-to-day dealings of issues that bring us, keep us busy. But it's telling me that for some Geminis, you forgot to listen to your inner voice. And when the Hermit shows up here in reverse, it's encouraging you sort of to take a pause and to search deep within your soul and sort of help you find your way again, and to focus on rebuilding yourself on more of that spiritual level, whatever spirituality means to you. And for some Geminis, if you're already spending a lot of time reflecting on your inner self, then the reversed Hermit may suggest that you begin taking this isolation too far. In other words, now it's time to come back. So, are you becoming sort of the literal hermit and cutting yourself off from others? It's encouraging you, Geminis, to not underestimate the value of staying connected with others as well, even while you're going through sort of that spiritual journey. It's encouraging Geminis, to be mindful of other people's needs as well, and that you don't want to become sort of self-absorbed in yourself or personal dilemmas that will shut out your family and friends. So being mindful is a key issue here. And the relationships, it sort of indicates there's an unwelcome sort of isolation. This sort of represents one person who perhaps may want to be alone and withdrawn from the relationship, and the other wants to sort of deepen the connection. For some Geminis, you may find yourself in that relationship, which sort of mentioned back here in your earlier cards here. Alternative, there could be a disconnection there. I'm feeling that for some Geminis, being on your own is so daunting and unappealing. Perhaps at this time that you're going to do anything in your power to stay together, even if it's not the best thing for you. So despite if you're having relationship challenges, neither one of you wants to be apart from each other. But again, it's almost too soon to be apart, and you sort of are trying to figure things out together. If for Geminis, if this is a relationship and you've already separated, then the Hermit in reverse may show that you're ready to explore a reconnection. So interesting. Yeah, there you have it there, Geminis. I hope this is helpful. Lots of balances there. So Gemini, thank you so much for watching this video, and if you would like to support this channel, the YouTube algorithms depend highly on your support by clicking on the big three, which is click on the like the video, click on the subscribe to my channel, and click on the notification button. All three are critical to algorithms, and I would definitely appreciate your support. Feel free to leave a comment if you felt any part of this reading was applicable to you. That would be great. Again, if none of this parts of it didn't resonate with you, that's totally okay. Ignore it and let it go. Sometimes it doesn't, so it's not out. Only take what fits. So Gemini, thank you so much, and I appreciate your support, and we will see you in October.